Hi beautiful souls, it's Tan back here again today with you on this Astrology, Human Design and Gene Keys channel, and today we're going to be talking about a very interesting and quite significant aspect to look into if you have this in your natal chart or anybody else that you know, and that is the Sun opposite Moon in the birth chart. So before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that we currently have a summer sale going with regards to birth chart readings on our website. So head over there and grab one for yourself now before the summer sale ends. It's going to be in June and July. Our beautiful, amazing, and talented team of astrologers are going to be doing readings for you guys. They're going to be your guides on this self-discovery journey with all of you guys. So head over there and grab one for yourself now. And also, we currently have an articles page going up on our website where our astrologers are writing up articles monthly, so do check that out as well. And last but not least, don't forget to head over to my art YouTube as well. I've made videos of the processes of my paintings up there, so it's been very fun to do and very fun to work here in my studio, so do check that out as well. And subscribe. So a couple of weeks ago, I made a video on the Sun conjunct Moon in the natal chart. Today we're going to look at something completely opposite of that, which is the Sun opposite Moon in the birth chart. So what does the Sun represent in the birth chart? The Sun, and the way that I like to look at it, it represents the male fathering figure in your life. It can be a biologically female person, but whoever it is, they took on the fathering role, in a sense that this is the person who is supposed to be building up your sense of self-confidence and self-esteem when it comes to your career and your path in life and your ability to shine in the world. The Sun also represents your ego and the structures of your ego and how that feeds into like your career life and the way that you relate to people as well. It's also your vitality. The Moon is representation of the person who played the feminine, nurturing role in your life, the person who provided you with the things that you needed in your life, the basic needs, physical, mental, and emotional needs. And so the Moon then becomes, in your natal chart, a place of nourishment and comfort, and it becomes your emotional habitual patterns. So when you have Sun-Moon aspect in the birth chart, we're looking at how the habitual and emotional patterns of someone supports or doesn't support their creative vision of the Sun, the creative vision that wants to lead the person into shining in the world so that their ego gets fed and they feel confident about it. The opposition in astrology, oppositions are happening within signs that are 180 degrees apart from each other. And we can keep the orbs of oppositions up to 8 degrees orb. So if you have your Sun in Cancer, your Moon in Capricorn, and let's say your Sun is in 15 degrees of Cancer, your Moon is in 18 degrees of Capricorn, that's a pretty close opposition between the Sun and the Moon. So oppositions are about working to find balance in your birth chart through relating to other people. So through relationships and understanding who you are by observing how other people respond and react to your behaviors, you come to terms with how to balance various things in your life. So it's very relational in a sense. So Sun opposite Moon. This is a challenging aspect to have in a natal chart, but it can be worked with and it can bring a lot of balance. But it is challenging because the person with Sun opposite Moon tends to have extremes of emotions that are contrasting emotions of each other, and they feel like only through relationships are they able to be stable. And that in itself is not very healthy, to rely on a partner to bring you like emotional stability. That's not healthy for you and your partner. So as a Sun opposite Moon person, you are working through in your life how to turn down the volume, the scream on that roller coaster ride to become a little bit more of so your emotions have less of that roller coaster ride theme to it. There tends to be, if you have a sun opposite moon, an inconsistent expression of your emotions and your will. So your will of the sun, like when you want to get something going, you can't always find that you have the emotions to support it. It doesn't really matter what sign the sun or the moon is in. If it's opposite to each other, there is going to be this inconsistent emotional nature to support the will of your sun. And you know, sometimes you may find that your home life, which is also ruled by the moon, doesn't really support the willpower of your sun to get things that it wants. And so what I've seen, like for example, is an easy example to look at. If your sun is in the 10th house, right, you have willpower to succeed in your career. And that's where your confidence is. But then your moon would be in the 4th house. So you may feel like when you have the willpower, the physical urge of the sun, the vitality to get something in your career, there's just something going on in your home life that doesn't allow you to really exert the will fully. You may feel like you're just not feeling in the mood that day, or your emotions are just not there that day to support that urge of your sun and your will. So that can be something that happens there. So what you want, which is ruled by the sun is what we want, how we want to achieve things, may not always be complementary to what you need, which is what is ruled by the moon, is what you need. And this can also be vice versa. So what I notice with a lot of sun opposite moon people is that you have a desire and an urge to leave a stable home environment, especially your family. If you grew up in a stable family environment, because, you know, let's talk about the parents. So with sun opposite moon, you can have a perspective that your parents are different in their nature. There's something very different about them, like they're opposite, you know. You may feel like, you know, your father is a workaholic and he's cold, but your mother, you know, she's a stay-at-home mom and she's very warm and loving and caring. This doesn't mean that your parents don't get along. This doesn't mean that they break up. This doesn't mean that they separate or they fight. It's just that you perceive them to be very different in their characters, but they could still get along. So it is possible to have a sun opposite moon and have a stable home life. Some people are not going to experience that depending on what else is going on in the chart. But so, you know, even if you did have something stable going on in your environment with sun opposite moon, you tend to just feel like, well, I have to shake it up. I have to get out of that environment and I have to prove to myself that I can stand on my own. I have to be able to achieve stability on my own without the support of my family. That's what you tend to feel. Doing that through your own willpower. Because it's such a polarizing effect that happens with the sun opposite moon. And it's usually going to be the sun that's going to dominate, even if the moon is in a stronger sign, just because the moon is a very reflective and soft body, a planetary body, that the person with the sun opposite moon, when they have that, like I mentioned previously, when they have the willpower and the vitality to get something and their emotions are not supporting that, they continue in this struggle, they just tell themselves one day, this is enough, you know, I'm gonna go out there and I'm just gonna follow my wants, my sun, my willpower, and I'm probably gonna neglect my moon for a little bit and I'm gonna put it aside for a little bit just because I need to prove to myself that the sun, that my willpower can give me the stability that I need by myself first, and then see what happens with the moon, with my internal emotions, if that kind of made sense. And like I mentioned, with sun opposite moon, you tend to be a little bit less sure of how to rely on yourself. Very different from the sun conjunct moon video that I talked about, who are self-reliant people. The sun opposite moon feels like they need relationships, they need other people, they need partnerships, and it's hard for them to feel like they can rely on themselves. Now, this doesn't mean that this is going to happen for the rest of their life. At some point, this can be worked with and they can become self-reliant. The expectations of failure in a relationship with the sun opposite moon people is big. Like, they are very much, if you have a sun opposite moon, you are very much afraid of failure in a relationship. You're very much afraid the relationship is going to fail because you know that if you don't have that partner with you, your roller coaster is coming back. You're going up and down, up and down, up and down. And then when a partner comes in, it's like it helps to stable you in one way or another. And so you're afraid of letting that go because you know that you're going to be in that roller coaster ride again. You know, sun opposite moon people, this is what I've noticed, is that you find it hard to understand yourself, and other people may also find it hard to understand you. And that could lead to that attachment in relationships as well, because once you find somebody who does, you feel like you don't want to let that person go. So how can we deal with having a sun opposite moon so that we can be content with the self, with the stability of the self? If you have a sun opposite moon, you need to find some kind of way to be stable and find stability within yourself, depending on which house your sun and your moon is in. So if you have, like I mentioned previously in the example before, sun in the 10th house, moon in the 4th house, you need to be able to strive in your career, and you need to be able to make a lot of money in your career so that you can build a home that makes you feel stable. So you need both of those things. You need the 10th house and the 4th house. So working with the house that the sun and the moon are in, by yourself, with yourself, from a place of self-reflection. Of course, this doesn't mean that, you can't have other people helping you. You can be in a relationship and work on yourself. You can be married and still work on yourself. So it's just that awareness of like what's going on there. And if I didn't have my partner with me, how can you come to that place of being okay with being by yourself? That kind of made sense. And it's very important that when the sun opposite moon person, if you have this, when you enter into a relationship, you choose a partner that you actually want to be with. That you don't choose a partner because you need them. So your needs, the needs of the moon, is also something that you have to be able to cater to, and you have to be able to give to yourself, by yourself. You can't ask another person to cater to your needs from a place of neediness, that we have needy relationships. That you need to be able to give to yourself. Whatever your moon wants, listen to that and give that to yourself. And then strive to be in a relationship with somebody that you actually consciously choose because you want to be with them. You're not in a place of neediness with them, but you appreciate something about them, you feel compatible with them in certain ways, they have the same life visions as you, then you choose to be with that person because you want them. The outcome of all this work that the sun opposite moon person does on themselves can make the sun opposite moon person, so if you have this, somebody that has an ability to be able to deeply understand themselves. Their level of self-awareness is very, very high, which is a little bit opposite of a sun conjunct moon that I mentioned in the last video. But that can also happen, of course, depending on other things in the chart. The sun opposite moon person, you can also be open to receiving advice about yourself from others and receiving advice from other people about your relationships. And this is very, very beautiful because even if it is in a stubborn sign, a fixed sign, like Taurus or Scorpio, you will still, with the opposite moon, be open to that because you know what it is like to struggle in relationships. So you are open to, for example, couples therapy, couples counseling with your partner. You're able to step away and observe yourself and step away from that subjective, defensive place to a place of openness and objectivity, to listening to advice. You are going to be the type that is willing to grow in a relationship, willing to let your partner grow because you understand what it means to develop a sense of self-growth, and you're willing to be very, very cooperative in relationships. Like sun opposite moon people, they're super cooperative. They want to meet you halfway when they're in a relationship. They want to know what you want, and then they'll tell you what they want, and they'll try to meet halfway in one way or another. So it's it's the perspective is very broad. Perspective on various different things are very open and widened. They don't tend to be narrow in that respect, and especially in terms of the self and relationships. They're just very open in that way. So beautiful souls, comment below if you have a sun opposite moon in your natal chart and how that's played out in your life. And like this video if you like it. And don't forget to grab your birth chart reading sales this summer in June and July before it finishes. And yes, meet your Tan Astrology team there on my website as well. So that's it for today, beautiful souls. Have a lovely day. Bye.